Let's begin.
Hey there, scary story fanatics. Welcome back to Cleaving Thought from Bone with your host, Sociopathic. It's time for a root-and-tootin' horror tale sure to unsettle your beer gut. So, if you want to hear more about your best friend in camo and denim, then get ready for part 1 of a 4-part hillbilly horror show, The Chronicles of RayBob, a Locust Lake story, part 1, The Inheritance.
It had been quite some time since RayBob and Shyloh had survived the horrors at Locust Lake, putting an end to the evil for what they hoped would be once and for all. Although peace had been restored to the land, the camp on the shores of Locust Lake fell into disrepair for a time, neglected and unused, before being obtained by the state. Following the deaths of those he and Shyloh cared about, RayBob decided to dedicate the rest of his life to protecting others from the tainted essence that lurked just beneath the surface of its waters, even going as far as to buy a small house at the bottom of the road leading to the lake, a residence once owned by one of the many Locust Lake victims. He had moved in at about the time that Shyloh had moved away. She explained to RayBob that after the death of everyone she loved and ever cared about, she needed distance from this place and everything about it. RayBob understood. He would miss the girl that had become like family to him, and even saved his life a time or two. Still, once Shyloh had moved away, keeping in touch via phones on rare occasions, RayBob simply watched the passage of time move the seasons and years forward without cessation. In all that time, the closing of the camp, the reopening by the state, and the few tragic events that took place nearby, having nothing to do with curses or undead killers. The true evils of Locust Lake seemed to remain dead, or at least dormant. However, in the past few weeks, RayBob had noticed something peculiar happening in the forests near the camp, only on the quietest of nights, and so faintly it could easily be dismissed. But RayBob had become a little bit paranoid about such things in his older years, and felt investigation was necessary. To him, it sounded like a small group of people talking rhythmically from somewhere deep inside the timberland, still on the fence regarding whether or not there was anything there to hear, never mind its nature regarding malevolence and benignity. He decided to contact an old friend and gather some much-needed input and perspective. The phone rang 3 times, and then, to his surprise, someone picked up.
Hello?
A strong, yet gentle female voice asked into the other end.
Hey, Shyloh, it's RayBob.
He spoke into the receiver.
Oh God, don't tell me.
Shyloh said with frustration and regret in her tone.
No, nothing like that. But there's something I do want to talk to you about.
Oh?
I can't be sure, but I think there's something going on at the lake. No, not monsters or anything. but I keep hearing strange things in the woods. Like people talking or something.
But didn't the state convert that old place to a national park? Couldn't it just be workers? Or campers dumb enough to spend the night there?
Shyloh asked, not understanding why anyone would ever spend time at that place, cursed or not.
That's what I thought. But the state workers have been cleared out of there for months, and I've been watching for traffic every day. No one has gone up to that old place in ages from what I've seen. I'll walk up there later today, see if I can find out what it is.
Just be careful, RayBob.
I'm sure it's nothing.
RayBob finished, before asking Shyloh how life had been treating her. She was out of state now and training, and no matter how many times he asked her, she wouldn't tell him what that meant. RayBob eventually hung up the phone after saying goodbye. The morning air was crisp and the walk was uphill, but he strapped on his rubber hunting boots and thick jacket anyway. He needed to see and make sure for himself. By the time he had reached the lake's edge, the morning mist was nearly dissipated from the water's surface. The refurbished cabins were now aglow in the morning light, and the wet grass had only begun to start drying from its saturation of morning dew. RayBob spent a good amount of time walking the vacant camp's grounds and various trails, only to discover nothing of note. There was nothing here. The place didn't even feel evil anymore. And that's when his phone alerted him that he had a new message. Reception was spotty around here at best, so when he saw the new message was a voicemail, RayBob immediately understood that somebody must have tried calling him and, upon finding him temporarily out of service, left him a message. Only thing was, he didn't recognize the number. RayBob pressed the play button next to the message and placed the phone to his ear.
Hi, I'm Deputy Brooker. I'm looking for a Mr. Raymond Robert Bruce. I have something here at the county jail I need to give him. Something that was left in his care. Can you call me back?
The detective said, leaving his number and ending the message. RayBob had no idea what the man wanted to give him, but he was curious to find out. With haste, under an ever-rising sun, RayBob left the camp and headed for home, calling the detective to make an appointment and getting into his car. The drive to the police station that he was instructed to meet the detective at was over 30 minutes away. RayBob's visit to the police station was 10 times shorter than the drive there. Had he not stopped to ask Deputy Brooker a few questions before leaving, he would have only been there seconds. But the deputy had handed him an object both ominous and odd, and RayBob had more questions than he could truly formulate. He asked the man,
What is this thing?
And the deputy began spilling all, answering some of his other inquiries before they had even been presented.
That thing belonged to an inmate upstate. It was sent to our local county jail shortly before his passing. He was given to an excommunicated priest that had been locked up for the better part of 3 decades. I guess the two used to be cellmates. When Mr. Jacobs' execution was scheduled, he sent that thing to his cellie here, back home. Wait. Did you say Jacobs? As in... Yup. The one and only. That fucking psychopath, Todd Jacobs. Everything that man owned should be burned and forgotten if you ask me. But, since old man Darris died on us, we're required by law to leave what are now his belongings to his next of kin, or those he so wished. Wait, Darius? Who? I don't even know who this person is. We're definitely not kin.
No, Darius, not Darius. Father Darius. The priest, that Whackjob's cellmate. He asked us to give it to you.
But what about family, or...
Todd had no family, and neither did Darius. Darius hasn't had any kin for as long as I can remember. And the Jacobs family was butchered a few years back, out of state. I don't think they ever caught who did it either. Probably a copycat of their son, I suppose.
I still don't understand. What does this have to do with me?
Not sure why, but when Todd Jacobs sent that journal to Father Darius, he instructed him to either give it to you or a few select others upon his death as well. Well, it seems that, out of that short list, you're the only one left alive that we have an address for. RayBob thought back on his years of stints with public intoxication and rowdy years at Rex's bar before it burned to the ground. The cop was right. They certainly had his information on file. Not sure, given that information, if this thing is a gift or a curse, but either way, it's yours now, the deputy finished. RayBob did his best to take in all that he had been told about this odd journal that he now held in his thick fingers, sauntering his large form through the parking lot and to his car. He tried not to give the journal much thought during his drive back home, but once he had gotten inside of his small house at the base of the road leading to Locust Lake and settled himself, he immediately opened the journal that had been given to him, the journal of Todd Jacobs. It became apparent very quickly that the large man could not put the book down, scanning and re-scanning its pages for hours. There were stories about the lake that RayBob had never heard, names that he did not recognize, pictures, sketches, maps. RayBob thought he was paranoid, but Todd certainly took it to a new level, never once faltering in his claim that he was innocent, and RayBob knew that he was telling the truth. He had seen the true horror at Locust Lake that no one else wanted to remember, and poor Todd Jacobs paid the ultimate price for it all.
On tonight's news, find out why Susquehanna taxes are going through the roof, and also, a police car found ablaze with no officer in sight. This and more on tonight's Channel 12 News.
RayBob was brought out of his trance by the information provided by his television, which had been on all afternoon without much notice given to it. However, the story about the police cruiser caught his attention, and RayBob had a sinking feeling regarding who might be involved. For minutes, he intently watched the screen, sipping a tall can of beer that he had gotten from his fridge while waiting, and when the reporter began speaking about the story, he nearly spit the beer out of his mouth.
Deputy Brooker has gone missing tonight after a long search by his colleagues. The 25-year-old officer was patrolling Route 23 out by Brackney before losing contact with dispatchers early this evening. His patrol car was found set on fire off the side of the road by passing motorists, and the deputy is reported not to have been inside. Currently, his whereabouts are unknown. Police haven't released any information, but from what I've been told about the crime scene, police are expecting the worst.
RayBob heard all that he needed to hear, and slowly, his gaze returned back to the journal in his hands. Todd Jacobs was dead, but so was his family, his cellmate, and now, most likely the person who had delivered his journal to RayBob. It was pretty apparent that someone was after this journal, and RayBob did not yet understand why. But what he understood with clarity is that soon they would be coming for him.
Well, Some inheritances come with baggage, and when it comes to Locust Lake, it's usually of the worst kind. Unless you happen to be like us and welcome the murder and mayhem. But don't fret, there's more to this story coming next month. And in the meantime, stop by next weekend for a horror story you don't want to miss. Until then, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications so I can catch you all again next Saturday.
Social media can be very unpredictable, especially regarding horror content. If this content gets removed, all new content will be simultaneously presented on various websites provided in the description to this video. Make sure to follow me in other digital spaces so that you never miss out on the terror. Also, if you like this video, make sure to leave a comment and hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what's here, consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Writing is a dream of mine, and it's all of you that make that dream come true.